Hi, this is Pierre-Yves Delacote, working at Planet Technologies. I wanted to talk about community management today. So, community management apply to a champions team, probably, or people who are enthusiastic about the change. You can call them change agents, whatever you call them. How do you manage a community so the change can be spread all over your company? So I'm going to give you a few tips that I saw work for a lot of customers. First, make your community feel safe. I think I did a video about this, but it's key for the people who are part of the community to feel safe about asking a question, asking for help, or sharing their thoughts or sharing their experience. As soon as they want to have an interaction with the community, they need to feel safe, because if they don't feel safe, they won't share anything. So the third thing is make people safe in your community. And a good way to do that is to engage with them. So ask them questions, their opinion, make them understand that nobody will judge. It's just about sharing experience that can be leveraged by other members of the community and ultimately by their peers. So defining the purpose of the community is key, so people can feel safe and share and bring new ideas. Also, a community is a living object in a way. So you need to have a community lead who's going to engage with people who are not engaged or who don't share a lot of information or a lot of experience. So you need to have someone or a few who are going to engage with others, ask questions, survey the on different subjects. Some subject can be part of the goal of the community. Some subject can be about the usefulness of the community. So you can quiz, actually. One good quiz is, does this community help you? Is it useful? Do we keep this community alive? You don't have to be ashamed to ask this question, because in fact, if it's not useful, you should change the community goal, or change the members, or even maybe stop being in this community. So when you manage a community, there are some tricks to be sure that people are engaged. And it's really important to praise the people who are part of the community and making the effort, the extra mile. So praise them. And not only the community manager has to do that, but members can, any member can praise their peers in the community, just to let them know that they appreciate the feedback, the help, the engagement. And you can also add some fun in the way you're sharing information. That's why the popular platform where you collaborate are using memes and GIFs and stickers to bring some fun to the conversation. It doesn't have to be serious all the time. And as I said, when you go through emotion, the message is better heard than when you're serious, or for sure if you're aggressive. So be fun, try to be fun. quiz your peers. Don't hesitate to ask them for feedback, even if sometimes um, you can be ghosted when you ask for feedback because people are afraid of answering negatively to your question. It's a cultural thing, so sometimes asking for help is more useful than asking for feedback because then people are not judging, afraid of judging, and they shouldn't judge because when you ask for feedback, if you have some sort of negative feedback to give, you should try to turn it not negatively, but explaining your position while envisioning another solution, another response to the problem that I've been asked. Part of the job of a community leader is to curate the community. That means be sure that everybody is engaged, that the content is correct, is not offensive, is corresponding to some sort of code of conduct, that the purpose of the community is well understood by the members, because maybe the first ring of members you created when you created the community is well aware of the purpose of the community. Maybe you had members all along the project, and maybe they don't really know what is the purpose. So you have to rinse and repeat the message of the purpose of the code of conduct of the community to be sure that everybody who's on board, even new members, really understand what is the goal and how you behave in this community. And to do that, also you need to curate the community. You need from time to time to extract the important information that have been discussed in the community, because basically it's a lot of discussion and you need to summarize it in a form that is really fast to consume for the people who are a member of the community, because they might have seen a few discussions that interest them and not others, because there might be a lot of discussion. So you summarize it in a form like a OneNote page or a Word document or whatever. Make a summary of important conversation, and maybe you can link it to the appropriate conversation if they want detail. And finally, I will say you need to, in order to be sure that your community is useful, you need to measure it. And so before measuring the success of your community, you need to define what are the criteria of the success of your community. So the best way, there are tools who show that if people are connecting to the community and engaging into the community, there are interesting tools that you need to use that to understand if your community is really alive or not. But the best way to achieve this is, once again, to survey your community and ask them for feedback. Ask them if the content that is shared in the community is good enough, or if they're willing to have other type of content. And asking is the first way to measure if it's a success or not. And I will add a last comment on make the community management the best as possible, and making the community works well. You need, if it's possible, I know it's not always the case, but you need to try to meet physically once a year face to face with all your community, because it will really create a feeling of being really part of the community, not just a virtual community, but a real community that meet every year. And that's a good opportunity to really um, transmit your emotion live, face to face. And so it's if you can do that, it's really empowering your community, and it will bring more engagement. So usually what we do when we launch, for example, the champions community, we do that at the beginning of the launch, so onboarding, what we call the onboarding of the champions community, bring them together, have some discussion for them to discover each other, because they might not work together because they're not in the same department, same service, they don't have the same job. So give them some time to connect and share some visual information, and then you can through the community, the virtual community, through, for example, through Microsoft Teams or through Yammer, they can keep having this discussion they started physically, face to face. And then a year after, it's good to bring them back all together in the same environment, so they can share once again their experience, and their good experience or bad experience. And because that way they will connect more, and they will bring more value all together, knowing each other at first place, and having a target to meet with each other, maybe at the end of the year, and that creates really a sentiment of being part of the community. So that was a lot of tips. That's what I've experienced through the customers I worked with, and if you can apply all those tips, you might not apply all of them, but that will definitely help your community. Have a good one.